glad you're here. Welcome to just a good, happy Friday. And, all right, there we go. Turn that down. Get this back going. Okay, I got to take the headphones off because I'm on the delay. And I'm like, I live 15 seconds in the future, it would seem, about, give or take. But, yeah, tell me how things are. How are you? How's your mom and them? Where are you today? Has it been a good week? Bad week? Tell me not everything. Don't tell me everything. But anyway. All right. Jeff Squires, hello from Northern Canada. I forget, you're way up north. And Jason, you made it, man. You know, today's the day. Jason Clark finally made it for a live show. Gibby, hello. How are you? Hope everybody is doing well. Let me know how things sound. I am still wrangling. You know, it's always complicated. But a whole new thing today where I added a cloud lifter to my whole setup. So should be good. So Chris Stonebreaker says hello from Indiana. You guys are good. I'm going to put my headphones on, listen to the past for a second. I just want to hear that mic level. Make sure that it's good. Okay. This is great volume. Okay. This button feels too much. But this shirt, it's a good Seinfeld. No, I'm not doing it. It's like one of those shirts from Seinfeld where like the second button just throws me off a bit. You know, it's just in a weird place. So anyway, all right. Well, Tom, sup? TGIF. Hey, yeah. Played my D28 today. Chicken licking. That's awesome. Sounds good. Looks good. All right. That's awesome. Yeah. Got a haircut today. You know, and my barber was like, I know you have a live show. You always get haircuts on Fridays, which is true. So Joe McGraw says, hey, hi, all. Hi, Jeremy. I'm not getting notified on live stream. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's frustrating. I know YouTube always changes whether you tell it or not, and if you have the bell on. Anyway, all of that just nonsensical YouTube stuff. But let me give you update this week. Things coming, things going. I sold a couple guitars this week. I sold my Hudson from Orangewood to a dear old musical friend here in town. He's an amazing guitar player and just a great singer-songwriter. It is Reverend Bill Howard. He's not actually a reverend. I jokingly call him the irreverent Bill, but he goes by Reverend Bill. He's awesome. He has this band called the Judy Chops. They are so cool and kind of a big band, horns, lots of stuff going on. Just really cool. And I'm super excited that he bought this. So he's been looking for a good guitar because they're about to go back out on tour. He needs a guitar with a really good pickup. So last night I put a pickup in it for him. I'm so excited because that guitar is so good. This is the Orangewood Hudson. Such a great guitar, and I got it, and I was so excited about it. I think it sounds great, and I don't need it. I don't really have a place for it, and so that's what was super exciting. So got to sell it to him. He's been saving up money for a guitar, looking for a D18. I got him this, and I had an LR Baggs Anthem, like a full-blown, full-power Anthem that I put in it, and it's going to be awesome. So it'll be perfect for him and what he's doing. So, sold the Avian. That was a little bit ago. Sold the Avian guitar. I have a bunch of other guitars for sale on the website. I have a D18E for sale that I think might be selling locally. Have a D18 VS, a slot headstock that is just really cool. Yeah. Other than that, bought a couple pedals this week, and that's what we're going to talk about later today. We'll talk about how do you actually make money and start buying and selling pedals. And yeah, so I'm excited about it. I worked on the titles the last couple hours. What else is going on? Oh, I got a cool guitar from Tom. Let me share this. So Tom Dill down here in the chat, he found a guitar that is freaking cool. So hang on one sec. Here it is. So this is that a hint? So this is a Wayne's World. This is a Squier. This is a Wayne's World Strat. This is Excalibur. Why did I do that? I use a nice pick and then make ruts on the side of my pick. Anyway, so this is a 60s reissue Strat from Squier. This one's made in Japan. This one is super cool, and I don't. Nope, I don't. I used to know. Nope. Thought I knew Stairway. Yeah. Found this in Florida, sent it on my way. I filmed a video. This is one of the only times I filmed a video the other day, and so I do this most of the time, and I just second guess myself. I make a video, and then between filming it and editing it, I'm like, that wasn't good. It wasn't high enough energy. I don't like it. I'm going to redo it. And I rarely, ever actually go back and do another one, because I live pretty firmly in the belief that done is better than perfect. And so the fact that I did it, and I did it, and as long as I did it well, that's better than me like hemming and hawing and going back and forth and trying to do it over and over. But so with this one, I actually was like, no, I missed a couple things. So I went back and I filmed it the next day. So I'm super excited about the video. I'm excited about this guitar. Thanks, Tom, for sending it to me. Tom is a good friend, and he's also a patron. He's one of the Ride or Die patrons. So he's one of the people that really makes it possible for these videos to keep happening. So I'm super thankful for that. Yeah, Joe says the same thing. I'm not getting notified for the live streams. I don't know. I think it's having the bell on for notifications. I'm sorry about that. I know it just, so if you go to YouTube, you'll just see that it is live. But yeah, so every Friday at 2 o'clock, unless, something really, I think I should keep track. I think this is like 30 or 40 something. Yes, so Tom, it did arrive in great condition. No issues with the box. It was packed really well. There was so much bubble wrap in there. So showed up totally great. Good job, man. What else? Do I have a D45 for sale? I don't have a D45. I am fishing my D41, which I'm still torn on that guitar. It belonged to my friend Sam. It's a really cool guitar. It's really important to me nostalgically, but I haven't bonded with it. It sounds killer, but as I'm learning myself and growing, I'm just not a huge, big, bassy, loud Rosewood Dreadnought guy. I'm just more and more drawn to mahogany guitars. So anyway, I do have a D41 for sale. The Wayne's World is a 1-year model, 1992. Yeah, so I think they did more of them. I was in deep sleuthing mode. I think they did a couple more in 94 when Wayne's World 2 came out. But yeah, so 92 and then 94. But yeah, really cool. Chicken leg and $50 for it. Wayne's World Party Time, excellent. No way, no $50. It is a made in Japan Strat. So there will be a video all about this, talking about it. And I'm also going to film another video talking about just, R50, our, Japanese CIJ, MIJ, are they worth the hype? Are they gimmicks? Are they, just all of that? Cause there's a ton to know about them. And, cause they are quite different than Mexican and American made Fenders from the same time period. All right, let me put these down. We'll do just a couple more questions, and then we'll get into it. Wayne's World, party time, I did watch a lesson yesterday, just to make sure I know how to play that correctly. The guitar is also super confusing to me. I talk about this in the video as well. It's confusing to me that that's Wayne's dream guitar, when the reality is Wayne is a shredder 80s metal guy, and he plays a Washburn But for some reason he wants like a pre-CBS, super jangly, super Strat sound. Not super Strat, but very Strat sounding. Anyway, it's just a funny, like, doesn't quite make sense to me. I don't get it. But anyway, so Tom says, just curious, what would you grade what would I grade the condition? It's very, very clean. I mean, it's basically like new. It doesn't look like it's been played very much. There's no dents in the fingerboard. I didn't see any dings or dents around it. I would put it very high. Like, it's probably a 9 of 10. I think the plastics have aged a little differently. So all the pickup covers and the knobs have aged. I mean, like, I don't know what it is. There's something with the plastics on those Japanese Strats that they got very yellow pretty early on. So anyway, okay. Yes, I prefer to sell acoustic guitars. I'm with you, and I can cover that as well. But I think today we'll talk about how to get in it if you're just trying to like get your toes in. You only have a couple $100. That's where I think that we would be best served to kind of jump in. And so, anyway, yeah, Jason. Jason says, "Don't be late again, Matt." It's true. What are you doing, man? Yeah, gonna be 30 years old next year for that one. Ooh, David's been eyeing a True-Fi Octavio fuzz and some Univibe-ish pedal as well. Dude, Univibes are so cool. What did I have? I had a Unicorn, a JHS Unicorn last year. That was my first Univibe pedal, and I loved it. I just think that's a super cool effect. And I don't use it anywhere near the way most other people have used it. I used it more like a chorus, and it's a very, very cool pedal. So, when talking about the MIJ, when talking about the MIJ guitars, be sure to mention the lawsuits. I will. That's a good point. Yeah, because there's a lot that goes behind it. But anyway, okay. Let me come back over here, and we are going to jump in. So, all right. So with all of that said, how to start buying and selling pedals as a side hustle. So I had I had coffee with a YouTube follower today, and the guy that lives kind of local. He was in town, and he was getting together with me, and he's like, "Hey, I love your channel. It's been super helpful. Earlier last year, I started buying and selling pedals because I just wanted to get into where I could snowball some money and get to buying guitars." And so now he's at a place where he's buying he just bought a Bourgeois recently for $2,500. He's buying a bunch of stuff. And it all started with just buying a couple pedals, like a couple Boss tremolo pedals and stuff like that. So anyway, I think this will be just a fun conversation to just drive through a little bit, because I think I get pigeonholed a little more into the acoustic world, but I really do live in both worlds. I love electric guitars, and I love pedals, and I think that they're really fun, and there's a ton to it. So, yeah, Tom says, loves his full tone Deja vibe. Dude, that's a great one. It's a chorus vibrato pedal. Very good. I don't know. That's okay. People teaching their cats to speak English. So anyway, with all of that said, so if you're going to start buying and selling pedals, here's just kind of my basic takes. First is start small, keep it fun. I would just keep a separate bank account. I'd open a separate checking account. Doesn't have to be, don't do a business account. Just, this is play money on the side. This is a hobby. And with that, the best thing you can do, trying to lean. Okay, I'll lean this way for this one, so you can see my thing down here. Sheesh, that's so hard. It breaks my brain because it's so backwards. But start small, open a separate bank account, keep it super simple, and just have a basic spreadsheet. I would say start a bank account with $200. That's the amount that the guy I met with this morning did, and I just think that's a super helpful amount, because $100 you have to really find some deals. But if you have $200, I think it's great. So yeah, separate bank account, keep it low, keep it small, keep a basic spreadsheet. This one down here, sheesh, is still breaking my brain. There, right here, is one that I actually, it's like an old spreadsheet when I bought like 100 pedals at one time a couple of years ago. And what I did with that one is I just put in like, it was also my notes for prospecting to figure out what I should offer. Because I basically went through like, hey, here's everything that you have. Here's what I think they're worth. And then I reverse engineer like, okay, what's my offer coming off of that? And yeah, I like this one a lot. I'm actually going to put my keyboard. I'm going to put my keyboard in my lap so that I can keep scooting through. Yeah, easy record keeping. It's also a really easy way for you then to show if you want to do a profit and loss of what did I pay for things, what did I sell for things, what did I get out, and then start looking around for cool stuff. And so there are obvious places to look, and there are not obvious places to look. And the more I get into this, the better I get at looking in the places that my competitors or just other people that are into guitars aren't looking, and I find cool stuff all the time doing it this way. So look in really obvious places. Facebook Marketplace is really easy. Craigslist, pawn shops, estate sales. So this estate sales is it's kind of on one or the other, and I put yard sales on the other side. The obvious places, Facebook Marketplace is really easy. What I love about Facebook Marketplace, unlike Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, you can see that it's real people, and those real people have actual accounts. I'm going to scoot a little closer. You can see that they're real people with real accounts, and you can make sure they're a real person. And it's not that common that people would just ghost you and disappear, because that's the worst. Craigslist, you just kind of email into the void, and people can just disappear and not ever come back. Now, what's interesting for me in this list of where I'm looking, and this is if you're looking to buy stuff to then play with for a while, enjoy, figure out if you like it, figure out if it's a pedal you'd want to keep, and then, more than likely eventually kind of move that thing on. I didn't put reverb, because reverb is the most expensive place to buy stuff. It's the most expensive place that things sell, which is a huge advantage. I like buying locally and selling on reverb. I don't really like selling on reverb, but we'll talk, for most people, reverb will do most everything that you need to do. So anyway, Craigslist is also really good. The downside is that it's anonymous, and there's lots of scams in there. Pawn shops are fun, especially for pedals, because a lot of times they get old pedals that they don't know what to do with. And you'll get weird stuff. You'll get stuff that's just completely off the beaten path, like old Behringer stuff, old, whatever. Joyo, all those strange brands you don't hear that often. Look in unusual places. Unusual places are like thrift stores. Probably one of the best returns I've ever made on a guitar was I found an Electro Harmonix drum pedal, like a drum machine. It was called the Space Drum. It was super cool. I'd never seen one like it. I haven't seen one like it since. But I found it, and it was just on a shelf with a bunch of VCRs in a thrift store in Abita Springs, Louisiana. And it was just this tiny little thrift store. I was just killing time. And I went in there, I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? I asked him, I was like, how much do you want for this? He's like, I don't know, $25. And I just was like, would you take $10? I mean, that's just living, in a thrift store kind of mentality. I was like, hey, would you take $10? He's like, sure. And I was like, I don't really know what it is. I didn't even pull up my phone and look at it. I just know it's a 70s Electro Harmonix pedal. It can't be worth less than $50. And so I got it for $10. And then I went home. This is kind of right when I started using reverb. This is like 2014 or so. Put it on reverb. It sold for $350 immediately. So anyway, thrift shops, great places to find stuff. You won't find stuff often, but when you do, there's like the most margin you'll ever live with comes in there. Yep. Other places that are repair shops. This is one that I just recently have found, and it works really well. Old camera repair shops, old appliance repair shops. Any place, like if you live in a smaller town in which the guitar shop is shut down and you don't have a guitar shop anymore, you stand a good chance to find guitars, amps, pedals at these old repair shops. Maybe not guitars as much, but anyway. Yeah, man. So that's another one that I think is really good. Also, yard sales, especially pairing this with Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace to find yard sales, and in those yard sales find guitars and pedals and all that stuff. You'll find really kind of easy, low dollar, like I said, Behringer, kind of cheaper stuff on this. But you'll find plenty of Boss pedals doing this. It is pretty easy, pretty fun. So the next one, you have to practice negotiating. And what is so great about buying pedals is that the stakes are pretty low. You get to just kind of learn and develop these skills, because you probably don't have the skills right now to jump in and look at a pre-CBS Strat for $15,000. Like, you would rightfully be stressed out and you wouldn't have the skills you need. But if you do this enough, you'll get to where you know how to negotiate, you know how to read people. And so with this, the stakes are low. So develop a working knowledge of guitar pedal prices as well, so that you can be in the moment, not look nervous, not look unprepared. Also, avoid with everything you can, avoid pulling out your phone to look up the prices of things right there, because they know what you're doing, and it will kill most negotiation or most leverage that you have in this situation. So nothing is worse than, like, excuse me for a second, then you pull out your phone, all of a sudden you come back with full confidence on what you'll pay for it. Then they're going to know, oh, he looked up the price and knows that he will make good money on this thing at that price. So it's a pretty disrespectful thing to do as well. You have to fight the urge, because most people have their phones in their pockets, all in their hands all the time now. But it will pay great dividends. Also, if you know generally what you're going to see in there, you can look out. Or if you have to, if it's something like, I don't know what this Vox Wah is bringing, hang on one sec. And then you can just be like, oh, hey, pretend like you're on the phone, walk outside. Then you can check on your phone. But anyway, yeah. So the other one is pay cash always, unless you're a millennial or a Gen Z and you live by Venmo or PayPal or any of those. I have bought a handful of things, probably more than a handful. I've bought enough stuff with PayPal. I'm okay with it. I don't love it. But I think almost always, in 98% of cases, cash is the way to go, because cash brings a closure to the deal that PayPal and Venmo don't offer you. A friend recently told me a horror story of a guitar that he bought, and the guy, a few days after buying it, the guy reported that it was a fraudulent transaction with PayPal, and then that guy got his money back. The other guy, how did it work? Somehow he was both out. He was out the guitar and the money, he sold a guitar to somebody, and then the guy said that it was a fraudulent transaction, and that guy disappeared, had a fake name, and so the guy got away with the guitar and the cash, and he ended up having to fight with PayPal, and eventually, it all worked out, but like police had to get involved. So for me, I'm like, that doesn't happen with cash, other than, oh boy, this is a memory I forgot I had. I had a guy try and buy something from me with counterfeit bills one time. He tried to pay me with $500 bills. And I was like, I've never seen a $500 bill. I don't think that's like legal tender right now, which they're not. $100 bills are the largest denomination you can use. There are $500 bills, but they're like out of circulation. So anyway, had a guy try and pay me with $500 bills, and that psyched me out. And the guy just seemed sketchy. And then later, I told the lady at the bank, she's like, for sure, those were fraudulent. Those were counterfeit. So anyway, I'll jump into a question real quick. Daniel says, what's the best small tube amp for running pedals? They're all pretty good. A Vox AC10 works great. It's a really bright amp, so it does well with darker sounding pedals. Fuzzes sound awesome through Vox. If you're looking for the best, like what is an amp, just a like pedal platform amp, the Blues Junior is pretty easy. It works really well. It does most of those things really well. Other small amps, the Pro Junior is okay, but it's such a small speaker that it sounds a little nasally, kind of like a Cocteau. So that with the wrong overdrive could get you in trouble. Evan says, speaking of pedals, what are your thoughts on amps in a box or cabinet in a box? Just got a multi-cab. So I guess, well, there's two different directions that goes. There are some of them that are like a preamp pedal that really kind of capture like an amp or a vibe of like a certain amp. Like Blues Breaker pedals do that a lot. Or the JHS color box. That's also a good preamp box. I don't mess with those too much. I'm very curious about pedal platform amps or like pedal board amps where you get like a Milkman or what MXR, Seymour Duncan has one as well. You get these like, it's a 100-watt power amp that's just on your pedal board, and that way you only come with a cabinet. It seems like that could be cool. You could do that pretty well. I loved, there was the shootout video with the Quad Cortex on Anderton's last week. It was so good between like the Quad Cortex and an amp, but the way they were doing it, they had to use one of those power amps in between. Anyway, super exciting. There's a lot to that. Tom says, one of my favorite pedal acquisition strategies when buying a guitar or amp, I will reply to a price with, I can't pay that, but I can come close if you can throw in some pedals. What do you have? That's a killer idea. That's really good. So we'll talk about some more negotiating. That's a really good line. Hang on to that. So Craigslist can either be a gold mine or a saving grace. Just did a fetid septic tank. Oh, gross. Come on. or just a, anyway. Okay, got it. Yeah, Craigslist can either be great or terrible. Craigslist for me now in the Shenandoah Valley is pretty boring. With that said, the other day, which is what started this whole idea, was that I did, come on, focus on that. Earlier this week, I found this on Craigslist. And what I did was, literally on Instagram Live, I found this. I was like, wow, that doesn't normally show up. And they were asking $160. These are selling for $165, $170 on Reverb. I was like, hey, would you do $125 and would you take it right now? And they emailed me back in minutes and said, absolutely. And then I went and picked this up at a very strange place. I picked this up at a piano store. So anyway, cool pedal. I'm going to sell that immediately. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to make a little bit of money on it. And I'm excited about that. So develop a functional understanding of market value. Be okay. This is a great one. Be okay walking away. When you're practicing your negotiating, like have a price in mind, offer that price. And if they say no, say, hey, thanks so much. Like, I really am excited about this thing, but I don't think we can make a deal. I don't think it's going to work. Walk away. There's something about them seeing your back and like seeing the cash go back in your pocket that people are like, oh, no. Hold on. Let's figure out something. And then the deal will work out. It sounds totally counterintuitive, but sometimes your best way of closing the deal is saying the deal's over. And people will jump in. So, all right. So the next one, negotiating lines that work really well for me. This is Tom. That is such a good line. So for me, it's, would you take, and I always take like 40% or like I aim for 40% on the steep margins to 25%. Now this is all in flux and always kind of coming and going. It all depends. John Schultz has a great comment on this. He's like, I'm not that worried about percentages. I'm just trying to figure out what the next best offer would be and just be a little better than that. I think that's a really good way of working through it and thinking about it. So for me, I usually say, hey, would you take, that percent? And then kind of continuing that thought, I say, and that's what worked for me on this pedal was, hey, could you take $125? I'll be there in an hour. I know it's not what you're asking, but it's cash. It's cash right now, or it's cash today. That's what it's always worked really well for me. It sounds like such a simple line, and it works almost every time. Because people want, convenience is the most expensive thing in the world. Like, you could make a steak at your house, but you don't, but you'll pay $100 for a great steak. Maybe not $100. You'll pay $25 for a steak at a restaurant, $32 for a steak that you could buy for 10 or 15 bucks and make in your own kitchen, but you don't, because convenience, and convenience is the most expensive thing. I mean, think about, like, it's not just convenience, but it's like time, pressure, frustration, how you feel inside about that thing. So I just find, the speed at which you can get people money often works really well compared to, like, and you can also tell them, like, hey, you probably could get full price for this thing. This is how I got, which guitar did I use this with recently? It's a guitar I don't want to talk about yet. I will talk about it, but it's coming. Somebody's hanging out for this crazy price, and I'm like, hey, like, you could hold on for that crazy price, but it's going to take you a year, and when you do, you're going to sell it to somebody far away, so you're going to have credit card processing fees, plus the platform fee, plus shipping it, plus insurance. So by the time you actually get your full price, you're only like $200 more than me. So do you want to wait a year for $200, or how about right now, I give you these $100, like, all of a sudden when they see this come out, focus. But yeah, when they see cash come out and they start hearing that sound of, cash flipping through your hand, man, that's when deals freaking happen, when people see cash. So anyway, other questions that I ask when someone has just a crazy price and I don't get it, I'll just say, like, hey, where'd you get that price? And always they say, people on eBay are asking around this. I'm like, and they're asking that, and it has been for sale for a year. They've relisted that thing 15 times. Like, that's the crazy price. That's the fishing price. Let's go to completed listings. Let's see what they're actually selling for. So sometimes that just helps you get stuff into, hey, like, I have money in my pocket. I want that thing in my hands. I'll put cash in your hands. And so. Yes. And then Tom's thing is so good, which is, hey, I can't quite get there, but do you have any pedals hanging around? That's another good one. Is just, it's that dude from American Pickers, just the bundle, like, package stuff together. So yeah, Jeff says, I have a 68 Italian Dunlop Crybaby. What do you think the value is? I don't know, but I know that all pedals are worth more right now than they ever have been. So if you don't love it, you could turn it into a bunch of dollar bills right now. Yeah. So Joey says he takes a video of everything he ships, whether it be a beat up DoD pedal or a Les Paul standard. I've got the video right on my phone. That's great. Yeah. And we'll talk about customer service here in a minute on that. But okay, so learn more about the kind of pedals that you like. So if you don't know pedals that well, which the music I grew up playing, like, I played in a ton of bands playing electric guitar, and I never really used pedals. I played in, like, pop punk bands, punk rock bands, hardcore bands, metal, and it wasn't really until I was in the metal band. Even like in the metal band, I started using a compressor, which I don't know why I used a compressor on, like, a fully blown out, like, full distortion PV XXL and PV XXX. And anyway, but so generally speaking, there are three kinds of effects pedals. There's, like, gain pedals, modulation, and time. If you break that out within the gain and modulation, there's a ton within the gain, fuzz, overdrive, because you basically have, like, boost pedals, you have screamers, which kind of color your tone. There are rat pedals. They're like a rat style circuit. There's a muff, like a fuzz kind of circuit, germanium or silicone. And then you get into a blues breaker circuit, like a Morning Glory. Like a GHS Morning Glory. Now, I love effects pedals, and there's so much to be said, but there's already so much that already has been said really, really well. Like the JHS show, Josh Scott, that pedal show. There's so much great resources around that stuff. I think where those guys are lacking are the practical how to buy and sell. So that's where I want to stay more. If you have more questions and want to learn more about what order you should put your pedals in, or, how does this thing sound, or, should I buy a silicone, or like that's like there are a million people trying to do that. What I've found is that I've been able to own a bunch of boutique stuff and not pay boutique prices. And that's the thing that always gets me is like, of course I want to play and hear and, see how much that Gladio Cornerstone is, but I don't want to pay that price. So I'm going to wait for somebody to buy it and then get bored with it. And then later on need to turn it into cash. And so that's where I'll jump in and I'll, make a good money. So anyway, okay. So, I just wanted to run through real quick, like the basic, like of these pedals, which ones are you going to find most regularly, most often? And I think the big ones, so in the gain, fuzz, overdrive, the pedals that you will find the absolute most is like a Boss DS1. They are everywhere and they are so affordable. $20, $25. You will find them all the time. You'll find a Boss Metal Zone always. On every Craigslist, I think in the US, you will find a Metal Zone, a DS1, maybe a Blues Driver. Blues Drivers are a little cooler, a little more expensive, but yeah, you'll also find full tone OCDs. Now, quick caveat: full tone pedals. They have had a politicization around them, and it's like I don't want to comment on the politics of it, but basically. What's his name? John, whatever. The guy from Full Tone just said some offensive things that I don't even totally remember anyway, does not matter. Don't want to comment on it. He said things that angered and upset and frustrated lots of people. And because of that, all of a sudden Reverb said that you could not sell new full tone pedals. And you couldn't sell used, like very limited, like selling of used pedals. So overnight, the value of full tone pedals nosedived. And the thing is, like, it has nothing to do with the pedals, how they're made, the quality of them, the pedigree of them, the players that are using them. But overnight, this is about a year ago, basically overnight, it became really hard to sell. I had a Supa Trem right then, like a great tremolo. And all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I can't actually sell this. So anyway, that's a big one. So Full Tone has had some complications to it, but there's still plenty of great, they're not quite boutique anymore. Cause they're so big. And there's like 9 versions of the OCD. I don't actually like that pedal that much. They're too shrill, too harsh for me. But anyway, the other one that you will see everywhere is a Tube Screamer or Big Muffs. They're everywhere. Tube Screamers are awesome. They're such a great, they will always be popular. They're popular in many different genres. Like John Mayer, Jason Isbell has used Tube Screamers. Stevie Ray Vaughan, really obvious. But also, my first experience with pedals was also Tube Screamers or Rats, but Tube Screamers because if you're playing super heavy, chuggy metal stuff, you can use a Tube Screamer to kind of tidy it up, kind of pull it in because it has this mid-hump thing that works really well in metal to tighten stuff up. And it doesn't actually add much distortion or overdrive, but it just cleans it up. Anyway, you can find them all the place, everywhere, all the time, everywhere. And they're really fun, really easy. So those are easy ones to get to know. Other ones are if you're looking for modulation pedals that you will find everywhere for modulation. You will find Boss choruses, CE2s, which are now bonkers expensive. You'll find CE3s, which are $80, $100, $125. You'll find one of my favorite pedals to find over and over and over are EHX, like Electro Harmonix, the small stones. They sound awesome. They're very similar to a Phase 90, which that's the third one. You'll find these all over the place. You'll also find Boss tremolos. TR2s are everywhere. You'll find a bunch of them that are modded. They're all fun. $25, $50, $75. I think the days of finding most pedals for 20 couple bucks might be over. But you can still make a bunch of money and snowball and get to where you jump into buying cool guitars as you get up above these. So the third one that you'll find are time pedals. Actually, there's a fourth one. Just prepare your hearts and minds. So, but for the third one is for time-based pedals. MXR carbon copies everywhere, ubiquitous. You find them all over. The deluxe Memory Mans. So you'll have the Electro Harmonix, the Memory Man, the Memory Boy, the Memory Toy, the Memory Man Nano. I think there's a Memory Boy Nano as well. There's just tons of these, and you will find them all over the place. They're really cool. They're really fun. And they always have residual value left in them. Like, you can always buy and sell them and make pretty good money. The other one that you will find absolutely everywhere is the Boss DD3, the DD5, the DD7. The DD3 is kind of the industry standard. It's been around forever. I think they started late 80s. In the DD2, I've had a couple DD2s, the Japanese blue label ones that bring a bunch of money. I think I sold the last one I had for over $200. And I found it at a yard sale. So anyway, very cool. Yeah. So you'll find those pedals all over. The last one are reverb pedals. Hey, here's a question. So does anyone that knows pedals well, why does like Boss skips 4? Like, they'll do like an RV2, an RV3, and then they'll skip RV4 and they'll go to an RV5 and an RV6. It must mean something like in the Mercedes and BMW world, like a 7 Series means a thing. But I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I know because I've been around their brand for a long time, but I don't actually know why. Like, why do they skip an RV4? But anyway, so these reverb pedals, they're kind of all over. You'll find an MXR carbon copy. Those are another easy one. And so there's also, you can break out, like, there's analog and digital. The two, like, in delays, and then, actually, sorry, this is an MXR reverb. It says carbon copy. I knew there would be an error somewhere. But yeah, so that's that's an analog delay. That's not a reverb. But anyway, don't want to lose people. So all of that. So once you have a pretty good beat on what you like and negotiating and how to buy stuff, you now have to figure out where to sell stuff, how to sell stuff in a way that the same people you bought from don't see you selling that thing, which happens to me pretty regularly. I'll buy something and then someone will see later on that I'm selling it, and occasionally people get grumpy about that stuff. So for me, places that I sell stuff, my favorite place to sell things right now is Facebook Marketplace. Well, I think technically for me, my favorite place to sell stuff is my own website, because with my website, I have the best fees. I'm able to deal directly with the person. It's just a better way for me. I have all the infrastructure built out to sell stuff directly through my website. Behind that, Facebook Marketplace works well because I can sell stuff locally. You now are starting to see more of the opportunity to sell stuff and ship stuff through Facebook. Like, you can buy labels and all that stuff. It's okay. It's pretty good. Again, I like it because you can see real people. Craigslist, it's good. You're going to pay less. You'll probably get people buying it faster. It's more anonymous. That's another good place to sell stuff. I'm now seeing more and more accounts popping up that are just trying to sell stuff through Instagram. It works really well, especially if you are trying to if you're doing drops, if that's your method, like, hey, every Tuesday I have 4 pedals for sale. That's it for the week. You build up this, like, wait, boom, here it is, and you sell everything right away. Yes. So that's a good strategy as well. Another one is build your own website. That's what I've done because I really don't trust reverb. I've had many bad experiences with reverb. I feel bad. It's good for most people, but it is just not a good platform for me. And that's kind of where most people, if you've been with my YouTube channel for a long time, that's where you first kind of jumped in. It's such a bummer. Like, came in at me as like my most frustrated, most annoyed, most angry. And it's just me complaining about reverb, costing me thousands of dollars and not backing me up and just being the worst. Reverb is very different now. They're owned by Etsy, but they're much more impersonal now. So if you have issues, you're not going to get to talk to a person. You're just going to have a delayed email exchange, way down the road. So anyway, Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I realized over here. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let me get through one more thing. And then word of mouth, you just become the person in your community that knows about these things and is able to, like, for me now, if I need to buy or sell something, people in my community just know, like, I'm the guy. Like my friend Bill, which I don't think Bill like watches my YouTube stuff. I don't care. But he was just like, hey, like, you're the guitar guy in my town. So, do you have anything cool? And I told him, like, yes, I have a guitar that's perfect for you. And it worked out great. So you just become the guy, or the gal in your community for things. So the last thing you need to know, maybe that's the last one. Yes. So the last thing you really need to know is how to ship things, because the chances are you'll probably sell some stuff locally. That's probably your best option, but there will inevitably be a thing that you'll get someone that will pay you more if you can mail it to them. And especially because of the pandemic in the last year, people just don't want to leave their house. They just want stuff to come to them. We're in the Amazon generation. So Uline, if you can, Uline will make you look the most professional, and it will actually just do really well for you. Now, it's going to cost you some money, but I guarantee you'll make more money the more you do it. So the best part of Uline is that you can order like the exact shape box that works best for you. For me, there's two boxes that I would always get. I would get a 6x6x6, like a cube, and you can get them for, I think it's like 58 cents a piece for the box. If you buy, I think it's 50 of them. It's been a couple of years since I've ordered them. I just ran out recently, but I would just buy boxes from Uline. Now, Uline is great in many ways and unfortunate in a couple ways. The best thing is they offer you net 30, so they'll like send you your thing and they'll ship it to you. You have 30 days to pay them for it, and almost always you can already sell all the pedals, so you can kind of get that first month for free, and then you pay the bill out of all your profits, out of selling all the things. Let me take a sip of water. I feel myself getting hoarse. So the other box that I really like is the 6x6x10. Or you kind of pick out, you look at whatever you're selling. I was selling a ton of Boss pedals for a long time. So anyway, so that's probably the more expensive way to do it. The cheaper way to do it, but a little less professional, is to do just Amazon leftovers. I mean, we're at a place now where like everyone you know has plenty of cardboard boxes around. And the upside is the boxes are free. The downside is you'll pay more because you're getting boxes that are bigger than what you actually need. And so you're going to pay more. So shipping, the other way to ship is the most expensive way to ship is for you to put it in a box and go to the post office and just say, I need to mail this to Nebraska. And they're going to say, okay, here's the price at full retail, and it's going to be $8 to $12. Almost always like UPS priority, like a small box under 13 ounces is going to be like $8. What's crazy is if you'd buy that label yourself, if you have a shipping relationship, if you have software like ShipStation or anything like that, you can get that price way down. If you go to UPS and you say, I need to send this to Nebraska, they're going to tell you, it's $15. That's about the cheapest you're going to get retail price, even if you know somebody that owns the place and they are really into it. And they're in the weeds and they can get you a better price. Even then, it's expensive. Places that are really good, if you're selling through Reverb, using Reverb shipping, you save a bunch of money on that because you are gaining access to great rates because, you're just bundled in with all of the labels that people using that platform are using. So you're going to get much better prices. So that's the awesome thing. Like through Reverb, you can sell pedals and pay shipping for a couple bucks. So that's pretty awesome. What I have now done, because I don't want to support Reverb or use Reverb, I really avoid it, is that I will use ShipStation. I have a ShipStation account. It's actually because of a YouTuber that I watch had a promo code. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And so I've been with them for maybe 6 months, and it is really helpful, really cool. It syncs seamlessly. I mean, it's kind of annoying because every couple days it stops syncing with my with my website, with my Squarespace store. But anyway, I still get an email and, see when everything comes in. So all of that to say, if you can get a ShipStation account, I pay $9 a month and I cut all of my shipping prices in half. Like I can ship a t-shirt in a poly mailer, like an envelope, kind of a loose plastic envelope. I can ship t-shirts for $3, like $3.50, maybe $4, to ship a shirt anywhere in the US. If I'd go to the store, it's always like $6 to $8 if I go to the post office, and then like 8 or 10 if I go to the UPS store. So you save, like if you get to where you've got some momentum and you're shipping stuff regularly, that's a big one. So anyway, that's the last thing. Also, I didn't put it in the notes here, but give free shipping. You will get people to pay so much more if you just offer free shipping. So anyway, with all that said, questions, comments, pedals I didn't mention, strategies I didn't mention, ask me anything. And I'll turn this off now and I'll jump in. So ask me questions. There are a couple questions that came in while I was yakking. Wait, what? Matt, your shirt hasn't showed up yet? Is that what you're talking about? Still waiting for yours? Gasp. I thought I sent it a long time ago. Weeks ago. Wait, Matt, are you... Matt. Matt. Where are you? Aren't you in... You're in... So Jeff asked if I've ever played a Strymon Flint. I have. I freaking love... That's one of my favorite pedals. Might be my absolute favorite pedal. Yeah. So, I love the Strymon Flint. I think it's a great pedal. It does so much for the two things that it does. I did a video. I don't know why. The video just has not done well at all. It's my worst performing video of the last 6 months, which I've had a bunch of just not great performing videos. Anyway, yeah, Matt, I'll have to double check. I sent your shirt a while ago. So maybe it got lost. Okay. So Tom asked a great question. Any advice on predicting what will be the highly collectible or what will highly... Let me read that again from the top. Any advice on predicting what will be highly collectible in the future? Example, the Klon KTR doubled in price in the last year and a half. So if you're not totally familiar, so like the Klon, the original Klon Centaurs have just gone up and up and up and up. They were $300 forever, new. I passed on one for $150 because I thought that was too much money. Whoops. I passed on one a couple years ago because I was like, I don't know. They're okay. Then maybe a couple years ago, they got to about $1,000. Everyone thought that was crazy. And now they just keep going up. So Music is Win. Is that Tyler? Is that his name? Music is Win did one where he bought one for $5,000, and his strategy was pretty clear. I'm going to buy this in such a sensational way that I get a ton of YouTube views, and I'll be able to, I'll make that much money back, and then basically I get to keep the pedal for free. I don't love that strategy. Anyway, whatever. I avoid the super sensational, clearly doing things to get views. But anyway, people need to watch in order to be a YouTuber. Anyway, so how do you predict what is going to be big next? That's a hard question. It's really hard. There are things that you could definitely tell. So in the 90s, you'd always hear these old guys talk about, I just knew I would just buy up every rare color 50s Strat I could. And that has absolutely paid great dividends. You look at a thing that most people liked and maybe lost track of. I think, like Japanese Strats and Tellies are probably another one that are similar to that. Yeah. I'm avoiding the actual question. So, any advice on predicting what will be highly collectible in the future? So the general trend is, because Dumble amps are similar, but they've never been affordable. Dumble's always been crazy, but they continue to get crazier and crazier in prices. Man, what advice would I give? I would say you don't have to be way ahead of the crowd. Like, I know people in the KTR world that weren't, they saw the things going up and they jumped in at $1,000. They jumped in at $500. So I think, you could, I don't treat gear like long-term investments. I short things. And I don't use that in like the typical like shorting the market. I use that in like I am going to buy it and sell it. Like I'm going to immediately put it for sale. I don't buy things predicting because so guitars generally are worth more than they were before, but not all guitars. There are plenty of guitars that are worth so much less than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Anyway, that's a good question. That's a really hard question. And I want to be cautious to not like, I don't want to just like meander and mumble through it. So anyway, oh man. Okay. So Jason has a great question. If someone stole all of your pedals, what would be the first one you would replace? That's a good question. I'll grab my pedal board, so I'll show you what we're working with. So I have a bunch of stuff. So here is my pedal board as it sits. So I have an Ernie Ball volume pedal. I then have a Morning Glory, a tuner, an MXR chorus, a Fathom reverb from Walrus Audio. That's my main setup. Ow! Oh! I dropped my pedal board on my foot. Ow! That hurt. And then a whole bunch of other pedals. Hang on. Okay. I have an older Herculean. This is from Mythos Pedals. Zach is a great friend of mine, and I really like this pedal, and I'm just super thankful. So that one wasn't working quite right, and he fixed it pretty easy. Here is a DoD Phasor that actually bought this from Josh Scott. He put it up on his Instagram, and I was like, I want that. Here's a Tube Screamer Mini, one that everyone has. This is probably one of my favorite like utilitarian pedals, the Hall of Fame Mini. This one is super easy to use. This one is on a long lend from Matt Hutchinson. He sent me this to borrow and use when I need to loop. And then this is my favorite delay pedal recently. This is the Flashback X4. And I have one more. Well, technically two, but this is kind of a newer edition. This is for all of my acoustic stuff. Are you focusing? So this is the Fishman Tone DEQ. Really cool pedal if you're playing out acoustic. This does a lot of things you need to do if you're going to play out and not sound just like a quacky, terrible acoustic guitar. So if all of this stuff was stolen, what would I replace first? The absolute first thing that I would fix or that I would need to have my tone is probably a reverb pedal. Like that's like when I play it, like that's like my sound is like big spacey ambient stuff. So I would go like the Walrus Audio Fathom. That's probably my favorite. And then right behind that, it would be the Morning Glory from JHS. I just think that pedal is so good. Yep. Yeah. A tuner pedal. So my basic strategy for a pedal board is I have to be able to control my volume and be in tune. So those are the two things that I'm going to do. And then like everything behind that is just kind of extra. So for me, I will always go volume pedal and tuner, and then I'll go to an overdrive, then I'll go to a digital delay, then I'll go to a modulation, so a chorus or a flanger or phaser or something like that. Behind that, then I'm going to go into a big reverb at the end. I like reverb at the end, kind of like it's in the amp, because most amps that I play have reverb, but some don't. And then it allows me to do just big, spacey, crazy stuff. So if I can do a volume pedal swelling into an overdrive pedal, into a delay, into a reverb, it makes this like giant universe of sound. And that's my favorite. So that's a really great question. Yeah. So Josh has the same X4, sounds super lush. It's awesome. I love the TC Electronic X4. I'm a big fan of that pedal, but that pedal got so expensive that it was cheaper for me to get one of these, or it was like within $20 for me to just get the X4, which would do, because my complaint with the Flashback 2 is that you only have one setting at a time. Like, so I ended up, with this, it's basically, it would be the same thing if I had like 3 of those pedals. Because I can set up, like, I just want to do 3 different sounds without bending over and tweaking knobs. Anyway, Tom says, sold the Flashback X4, bought the Boss RC3 looper and the Seymour Duncan Dark Sun delay reverb. I haven't played the Seymour Duncan. I've heard cool things about that. The RC3 is like a full-blown... I don't use this as a looper, really, the X4. My jam on this thing is this... there's a knob in the middle there's a dip switch in the middle that you can go between a quarter note, a dotted eighth note, and then a quarter note plus a dotted eighth. So it does this bump, ba bump, 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 ba bump, 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 ba bump, bump. And that with either the tape delay or the 2290, like a kind of a decaying delay, is just like, I've written entire songs just out of this pedal, which that's interesting. Like, there are very few pedals that just make me like play a whole new thing. I also have a pedal over here that is just weird. It's the Chase Bliss Mood. It's just ridiculous. Hard to use. Doesn't do the same thing twice. I have no idea how I would ever use it live, which means I won't. And so anyway, my foot still hurts from, I dropped my pedal board. It's like a big wood pedal board, and I dropped, and just the corner hit just right on the top of my foot. Anyway, Tom says, if I had to start over with one pedal, it would be a Zoom multi-stomp. That's kind of cheating, Tom. Does everything, including a tuner, I can play anything immediately. Yeah. I get that. A little bit cheating. But anyway, I need to build a bigger pedal board. That's my, like, I keep putting it off. Yeah. Oh, Mike says the factory presets on a Fender Mustang from like 2 generations ago were heat right. Were just right. Heat right? Yeah. I think Fender's killing it. I think they're doing really well. I have the Mustang Micro that plugs in the little headphone amp, and it sounds so good. And I think if I was just playing electric guitar by myself a lot, yeah. So Jason Brooks says, I'm a church musician, so I really dig the shimmer effect on the Canyon with the electric and the dynamics of the acoustic on the RV6. Yeah, I like those a lot. Yeah. David, Smooth Jazz Dave, says, my way huge green Rhino is most of my main sound. Is that, what's the green Rhino? That's like, anyway, it's a good pedal. A lot of people I really like get really great tone out of that. Anyway, so that's about all. 3:05. We've been running for an hour and 6 minutes. So this is fun. It's Friday afternoon. I'm gonna go kick it with my family, and so I guess in closing thoughts, let me know if you have questions, comments, if you find cool stuff, if you need advice. The other big things are, I'm starting to open up what services I do in the world. And this is, please don't hear this. This is not a shameless pitch for me to make more money. But it is just as I'm growing the business of helping people find the right guitars, helping guitars find the right people, because I have some brand stuff coming up. But then there's also this, like, if you know of small guitar shops that just need help connecting and building community, I want to help. So for years, I owned a marketing agency, and I would create marketing systems for businesses. And that's one thing that it's a skill set that I know the world needs, that guitar shops need help figuring out how to communicate what they do and how they offer that to their communities, especially, coming out of the pandemic, where you're like, we barely made it through this. And now we're trying, like, we know a bunch of stuff has gone online and we don't know how to keep up. So anyway, if you have cool guitar shops and you want to introduce me, that would be awesome. And I also want to start planning. This is full-blown dream mode. I would love to start putting together some dates and times to get to guitar shops, to do a hangout, to just meet people around the country that are buying and selling cool guitars, and to just, get to hang. So, Mike, thanks so much, man. That's very exciting. And then Matt says he's going to a pawn shop tomorrow to do a wee nosy. Oh, I haven't practiced my English accent. My kids have surprisingly good English accents. I think it's just the confidence. I lack the confidence because my best friend years ago, I did an accent. And he said, "You sound stupid," and he wasn't being mean. He was being honest. And so, anyway, okay. Well, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that this is helpful. I hope that you find some badass guitars and gear. Pedals are out there, and they're easy. They're fun. They are more popular now than they ever have been, and they're all selling for more money. And I don't think it's a bubble, but I think there will be a course correction in the values of a lot of these. So I wouldn't buy up a bunch of stuff thinking it'll be worth more later, but I would buy stuff now that is worth more now. And Anyway. All right, guys. Have fun. Have a great weekend. This was really fun. And so, hang on. Let me do this. All right. I will see y'all later. Have fun. Bye.